Now back to EEI Late Night with KJ on EEI.
I mean, it was really good. Tristan was really good too, and they both ended up with double-figure rebounds. Of course, Rob obviously had a double-double, but I just think if we can keep, making it so that he can play more and more and more as the season goes on. Again, the density of the games and his history, especially last year, we're just being conservative. But he's getting a lot better. You see that. And he's able to play a little bit longer stints than he has in the past because he plays really hard when he's out there. And so that's all encouraging. I thought both those guys did a good job. And I talked to Tyson at halftime. So we're going to be in this situation more now where one of those guys isn't playing as much as we're smaller. And it won't be the same guys every night because it'll be matchup dependent and kind of who's going. But all three are good players. And Rob obviously gives us an upside there that I think we just need to keep building and building and building.
Yeah. Celtics got a little swagger going on. Yeah. Sing it, Robert. Feel. I feel good about the Celtics. Second hour, WEEI Late Night with KJ. Thank you so much for hanging out. You can hear a little bounce in everybody's voice and step with the Celtics. I know I'm not Nostradamus or the Paul Mooney character on the Chappelle Show. I don't know. I don't want to get called in the office for calling that person. KJ, you just, I know, but you just can't. But I predicted that the Celtics would get their bearings by winning those last 4 games before the All-Star break. And now coming out of the All-Star break, the team is looking good. Now, it's not hard to look good against the Houston Rockets, but let's face it, they're an NBA team, and their record gets counted as well. So the team now 20-18, where at one point, you remember, oh my gosh, the team was at 500, below 500. Danny and Wick were coming out and showing their faces. They're like, man, the seasons haven't even changed yet. We shouldn't be discussing it. And now it seems like the ship is coming together, and I have said all along, Robert Williams has become an integral piece. Think about this. Maybe about 3 weeks ago, the Celtics block percentage from year over year was it was abysmal. It was like negative 12%. It's now down to negative 10. Now you say, what's the great thing about that is literally Robert Williams is a one-man blocking machine, and that energy is what Brad Stevens is talking about. Is when you have someone in there that comes in and says, you know what? If the most important thing for me to do is to not score, but to be active, Robert Williams has shown himself to be perfect. Near perfect. Now, with all the trade rumors and still, now it seems like, hey, the Celtics sitting in the 5 spot are really buyers. And now some of these buyers may come and say, we want Robert Williams. And I would say, oh, no, my friend, no. Now, because you would argue, well, if there was someone out there that was so good, Danny could have already gotten them. But when you have an emerging talent who knows how to run with Jalen and who knows how to run with Jason, and you see these numbers he's putting on like 17 and 13, this stuff is becoming regular in like unheard of minutes. You can't trade them. In fact, you got to work with them. Did you hear in that bit from Brad Stevens when he was talking about how he was rotating the team and said, okay, Daniel, you're out. Brad has tightened up on this team. No more everybody gets to play participation trophy. We won't be seeing Grant Williams, Tremont Waiters, Aaron Naismith. Those guys are just going to probably figure out what type of cushion is on this bench chair. And it's funny that they still call it a bench and nobody sits on a bench anymore. They're all like really comfortable folding chairs. Tice may be the odd man out. In fact, there's a story that's at WEEI right now. It says, look, the Harrison Barnes talk, where it was like, hey, we can kind of dump some of these bench players on Sacramento's team. They're like, nah, we're not trading them. You know that usually comes from? Something that you want that you don't want to give up. And it's Robert Williams, probably. Oh, we'll take Tremont Waiters. We'll take Aaron Nesmith if you want. You'll give us Robert Williams. Oh, no. No. Good thing about that Houston game, with Houston losing 16 in a row, Jaylen Brown was able to get something that he almost never gets.
It was a good win for us. We definitely needed that. Got to see the ball go in a few times. Just getting back. Everybody's back healthy now. So that was a good confidence boosting win for us.
Got some rest. Blow the team out, put the stars on the bench. But it's just the development we're seeing of Robert Williams now that you didn't really know. And you saw glimpses of it. You saw flashes. And now you're starting to see replete flashes that you say, wait a minute. Has Danny found yet another nugget? Because with that energy, and let's just face it, with Embiid hurt, the Celtics can really make a run with this young lineup. And like I said, I've always believed that if you put Tristan Thompson to the bench, he can then go after his scoring, which, let's just face it, a few years ago, the guy was a nightly 20-10 guy. So he still has the ability to put the ball in the basket. 617-779-7937 or the text line 37937. It's KJ Late Night on WEEI. Am I obsessed with the Celtics? Well, that's because there's no team in Providence. What? What? Last I checked, if I go north, is there that Toronto? You want me to talk about the Raptors? And they're not even playing in Toronto. There he goes again, talking about the Celtics. It's going to happen, bro. UConn will make the Sweet 16 before being knocked out, talking about the brackets. I don't know. LSU won't make it far. They might be lucky to get past the first round. KJ, I've been able to cook better than any girlfriend I've ever had. See, that's for you, Brian. I'm trying to tell you. Learn how to cook as well, then find a friend who can cook very well for you.
Yeah, I've learned a lot over the last year plus to cook for myself. Not a ton of going out to restaurants and whatnot. So I've been learning.
Yeah, well, pandemic has kind of forced that, where you've had to, like, a lot of people really learn how to cook.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I always kept it basic, cereal, mac and cheese, but I've definitely...
That's not cooking. Well, mac and cheese is, because you turned the stove on.
Grilled cheese, but no, I've definitely expanded to...
So no one's taught you how to, like, buy the big chicken breast and, like, cut them in half?
No, I have. I do the chicken, the burgers, the steaks, the omelets in the morning.
Cook.
Yeah, no, I do.
Oh, okay, there you go.
I'm saying I used to do the basic.
So you know what it really is find someone who has a better spice rack than you.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what it really is. Yes. It isn't so much because they got to cook the temperature at the same temperature as everybody else.
It's all about the marinating, too. That's what I've learned.
Yes, that's true. You do it overnight. Back to the Celtics. Robert Tice might be the odd man out, and I don't know how much of a desirable trade asset he is. But if it's going to be a three-man rotation between Williams, Tristan Thompson, and Daniel Tice, well, then you say, well, wait a minute. One guy gives me energies, rebounds, blocks, and some points. The other guy gives me rebounds and maybe some points. And the other guy, he's in between. This whole talk of, Tice can stretch out the five. Like, every five shoots the three. Like, that's almost a term that's almost becoming obsolete. I'm still talking about the Celtics. That's a term that's become obsolete, pulling the five out. Because look, right before Embiid went down, guy pulls up, shoots a three, doesn't even go to the hole, just boom. I'm like, that's unbelievable. That's crazy when you think of it in terms of what basketball has been historically. But Robert Williams effectively gets up and down the court. That makes you say, you know what? This is who we need to go with, and they're trying to figure these out. This thing out. Jaylen Brown has been one of the big champions of Rob's play.
Rob has been great for us. He's even getting better as the days are going on, ceiling, playing off of each other. Rob has been really good.
Playing off of each other. Remember how tired the team was looking between Tatum with the COVID situation? Jaylen Brown was playing excessive minutes and then started having the knee issues, the tendinitis. It's always good to know. And let's just face it, Kemba, you're trying to figure out, is this guy got a future? Does he have a future? Or is he on the downside of the hill, right? It's like, is he still going up the hill in talent, or is it starting to now seep down? And when those things start to happen, and that's who you've paid for to go get, it's going to make your two superstars feel very good to know that a rookie is taking in, starting to feel confident about being out there on the floor with them. Now, I know Robert Williams' injury with his hip over the years has been an issue, and they say it's kept him off of the court, but it seems like it continues to get better. In fact, I think Rob thinks that, hey, he's fine with the minutes he's getting, maybe more.
My health is feeling great, to be honest. And, obviously, I want as many minutes as I can get. My minutes ramping up. It's just, I guess you can kind of say a dream come true. I just got to lock in one.
Yeah, I'm watching the text line come in. It's active tonight. Probably because with $200 million spent in New England, people stay up, right? Like, is this coming out of my heating and oil bill? This is from a 774 number. Forgive me if I can't see I'm probably a little bit nearsighted. Danny Ainge should be fired. Whatever happened to Trader Danny? Ainge has a ton of draft picks, and I said trade them all for Karl Anthony Towns because they really need a center and not any guards or any wing players. So Karl Anthony Towns, I mean, look, if you're willing to give Karl Anthony Towns, you have to say yes. He covers everything, and I agree. No more guards, no more wings. It's like going to it's like when you eat chicken with a person and they eat all the flats. You're like, oh, you're just going to eat all the flats again? Like, really? That's what it feels like when you look at the Celtics bench. Like, everybody seems like to be 6'6" and under. But if it's Karl Anthony Towns that you can make the deal for, and I don't have his contract right in front of me, but if it's one of those situations where it's, say, one, and then you try to resign him, but I think he's on a max. So, I mean, yeah, you can't ignore that because that covers everything you need. And if you still got Robert Williams on a rookie contract and you're still concerned about his minutes, then yeah, absolutely, you could still keep him at 20 minutes, and then you could pretty much say, like, who wants Tice? Who wants Tristan? It'd be real easy. 617-779-7937 or the text line 37937 taking your calls. So Marcus Smart back, and let's just face it, he's the glue. He's the glue. At least things seem to have normalized. And, some people say, well, time will tell. Is he still going to be jacking up shots? I think when Brad put his foot down and started to say, look, there's no more playing time for everybody who's on the bench. I think what happened when the team was 500 and they were sitting in that 8-9 position at one point, like the Knicks were ahead of the Celtics, it was like, hey, is this team going to be a seller instead of a buyer? I think Brad is starting to kind of put his foot down.
Hey, KJ, quick question for you. I don't want to distract you too much, but a text just came across, and I wanted to ask you a question.
Oh, do you know their name? I just want to make sure.
No, I don't know their name, but okay. Do you know there's a team in town called the Patriots? Because apparently they're a team too, according to the text line, and I guess we don't talk about the Patriots. I guess the Patriots are a team that don't get talked about enough around here.
You know what it is? He's thinking of the WEEI station in Foxborough, not the one that's in the Alston-Brighton neighborhood.
Well, the Patriots are a team too, if you wanted to talk about this football team called the Patriots.
Oh, yeah. Who are they? I'm kidding. 617-779-7937. Paul, you want to talk about Time Lord? Go ahead. You're on WEEI.
Well. Before I get to the Time Lord, KJ, I must remind you, here in your intro with Ivan Putski, the Polish Hammer, going back to the original days of old school wrestling, did you see not only we wiped Houston tonight, Shane O'Mac goes to the top rope, does an elbow through Braunstrom in the table, and then put 2 5-gallon buckets of green slime. I don't know how they survived that kind of impact, but
I think Paul's ready for Wrestle Madness on Wednesday, but I didn't have an Ivan Putski introduction, but I can do an Ivan Putski impersonation. Let me tell you that, because people are wondering, why do I talk about a basketball team that's based on the Causeway?
Yes, sir. Well. You bring up to get facts in the way, and your fact of how we were playing flat-footed, post-COVID Tatum, no Kembo, and no defense. That was a horrible show 3 weeks ago. Tonight, stopping Houston, it should, as you said, it's a number in one game, and just to make sure the point of one more game is 17 losses, which will be their franchise record. So they are a dumpster fire, and we should kick their butt, and we did. With Time Lord able to, as we've seen, shut down offenses and play like that. You had talked about the power forward with the wingspan that you wanted to get from Sacramento, and my question is this. As you see them evolving into playing team ball, finding the opening, making the second pass, when Tatum or Kembo are hot and they double team them, why can't he get in the paint and they can dish it off to him? Because isn't he tall enough and big enough once he's in the paint? It's one step and a flush.
Yeah,
as the third option.
I don't know how well Time Lord's back to the back maneuvers are. He's just very good going to the rim. So if everything is moving forward and with speed, Time Lord is definitely there. To ask him to say, hey, we need you to work on your game, I would say at this point, don't change what you're doing, because you've got 3 guys who are going to handle the ball, and Time Lord is right there grabbing rebounds offensive and defensively. In fact, which game was that? It was the game where, saying the Brooklyn Nets. I remember when they were in Piscataway, New Jersey. The game where they were running, but you wondered, I was sitting there wondering, like on Twitter, KJ Carson, like, would this game really be competitive if KD was here? But they're competing. And at the 110 bucket, where James Harden goes straight to the lip of the basket, but Time Lord wasn't in the game. That's where I was like, this is where Time Lord is needed. And I don't know, it could have been the minutes restriction, it could have been fatigue, but that's what he does best, is protect the rim and go to the rim. So to ask him to develop anything back to the basket, call plays for him, I think the best scenario would be off of the pick and roll, but always roll, right? We don't need you to pop. Just roll to the basket, toss the ball towards the hoop, throw it down. Energy, energy, energy. All right. 617-779-7937. Brian D. Felice, I have breaking news.
What is it?
I'm going to talk about the Patriots again next. It's the second. Maybe I didn't tell them it was the second hour, right? And if I talk Patriots for an entire 2 hours, you think there would be texts that would come in and say, you know, there are other teams here.
Oh, well, you did discuss them for 35 plus minutes to start the show.
Exactly.
I mean, if it was a text that said, you know, the Red Sox are a team too, or the Bruins are a team too, or the Revolution are a team too,
right?
Nobody even talks about the Revolution, and nor do I, so I'm guilty. But the Patriots are talked about 24/7. I can't believe somebody texted and said they're a team too.
Well, you know,
did one Celtic.
Well, you know what that is. You do a little Google search, you type in KJWEEI, a couple of pictures come up. Then you start to nitpick. You know, they can't get to the part of, oh, he butchers the English language. So that throws them off a little, right, Brian? Then they say, well, he's talking nothing but basketball. And that ties into the pictures I see. And then you say, well, gosh, no, I've been Nostradamus with some of this stuff on this station about who's going to become free, who Bill may spend money on, stuff like that. So I'll tell you what. I will tickle the testes next, right after What's Trending.